Hey friends, this is Kalpesh. Welcome to my YouTube channel Automotive Crux. In this video, I am going to explain you about the multi-point fuel injection system. The multi-point fuel injection system, it is also known as the M.P.F.I system. So let's get started. This multi-point fuel injection system is dedicatedly used for the gasoline engines. That's why it is also known as a gasoline injection system too. This M.P.F.I system, it is completely controlled by the electronic module. So it is also known as an electronic injection system. And the main purpose to implement this M.P.F.I system on gasoline vehicle is to supply a proper ratio of gasoline and air to these cylinders. By supplying a proper fuel air mixture to the cylinder, we are trying to generate the homogeneous mixture inside the cylinder, and ultimately we are getting less pollutants in the emission at our tailpipe. Okay, the systems function under two basic arrangements. One, it is known as a port injection system, and second, it is known as a throttle body injection. So let's discuss about them. In the port injection system, the injector is placed on the side of the intake manifold near the intake valve. As you can observe in this figure, the injectors are placed on the side of the intake manifold near the intake valve. This injector sprays gasoline into the air inside the intake manifold. The fuel particle mixes with the air in the reasonable uniform manner, and this mixture of gasoline and air then passes through the intake valve and enters to the cylinder. If we are trying to discuss about the multi-cylinder engines, then we can observe in this line diagram that in the multi-cylinders, every cylinder comprises their own injectors. So every cylinder is provided with an injector in its manifold. If there are, for example, if there are 6-cylinder engine in this figure, then we can say there will be 6 injectors. So the next one is throttle body injection. In the line diagram provided here, you can observe that an injector is placed slightly above the throat of the throttle body. Here is the throttle body, you can observe, and the injector, it is placed slightly above to the throttle body. Now this you can compare with the carburetor throttle body too. So the injector sprays the gasoline into the air in the intake manifold, where the gasoline mixes with the air and produces the required air-fuel ratio, and this mixture then passes through the throttle valve and enters to the intake manifold. The fuel injection system can be either timed or continuous. I'm again emphasizing on this sentence, friends. Fuel injection systems can be either timed or continuous. That means in the timed fuel injection system, the fuel injectors, with the help of electronic control module, the fuel injects at every interval demanded by the engines. Whereas in case of a continuous fuel injection system, the fuel injectors continuously sprays the fuel particle into the intake manifold. In the time injection, as I said, the gasoline is sprayed from the injector in the pulse. That's why sometimes it is called the pulse injection system too. And in the continuous injection system, the gasoline is sprayed continuously from the injector into the intake manifold. The port injection system and the throttle body injection system may be either pulse system or the continuous system. And in both systems, the amount of gasoline injected, it depends upon the engine speed and the power demanded. The engine is continuously running with the varying speed and varying load. So according to the loading condition, our engine, with respect to the power demanded by the engine, our fuel injection system has to supply the required amount of fuel particles into the engine. Sometimes this M.P.F.I system can be categorized into two different types. One, it is known as a D-MPFI system, and second, it is known as a L-MPFI system. Let's check it out what is inside. D-MPFI system is shown as a line diagram here. This block, it indicates the engine. This is our intake manifold vacuum sensor, and this is, you can consider the intake manifold. This block indicates the injector module. This is our ECU, electronic control unit. This line diagram, it indicates the flow of control in this particular D-MPFI systems. Okay. So the D-MPFI system is the manifold fuel injection system. In this type, the vacuum in the intake manifold is first sensed with the help of manifold absolute pressure sensor, which is also known as a MAP sensor. With the help of MAP sensor, our ECU tends to measure the vacuum generated inside the intake manifold continuously. In addition, it senses the volume of air by its density, and as the air enters into the intake manifold, the manifold pressure sensor detects the intake manifold vacuum and sends the information to the ECU. Simultaneously, the speed sensor, which is mounted at the crankshaft, it also sends the information about the RPM of the engine to the ECU. The ECU in turn sends the commands to the injector to regulate the amount of gasoline supply for the injection. And when the injector sprays fuel in the intake manifold, the gasoline mixes with the air and mixture enters to the cylinder. This is about the D-MPFI system. Now, what is inside the L-MPFI system? In the same manner, we have an engine block, we have an intake manifold channel, we have a ECU module, we have an injector module, and the L-MPFI system is a port injection system. In this type, the fuel metering is regulated by the engine speed and the amount of air that actually enters the engine. As air enters into the intake manifold, the airflow sensor measures the amount of air and sends the information to the ECU. Focus on this thing. Okay. In case of L-MPFI system, our ECU measures the airflow, whereas in case of a D-MPFI system, ECU measures the vacuum generated inside the cylinder. Similarly, the speed sensor sends the information about the speed of the engine to the ECU. I would like to emphasize again that speed sensor, it is mounted on the crankshaft and it measures the RPM of the crankshaft of the engine. The ECU processes the information received and sends appropriate commands to the injectors in order to regulate the amount of gasoline supply by the injectors. When injection takes place, the gasoline mixes with the air and the mixture enters to the cylinder. So this is what happened with the L-MPFI system. The major difference in between the D-MPFI and L-MPFI, it is in D-MPFI system, intake manifold vacuum is measured to analyze the required air-fuel ratio, and in case of a L-MPFI system, the airflow sensors measures the amount of air to analyze the required air-fuel ratio by the engine. The similarity is in both cases, ECU needs engine RPM as an input. Thank you guys, thank you so much. Thank you for watching my video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe this channel and click on the bell button so you will get notification whenever I will upload anything in this channel. Thank you once again.